Finally tonight, what's in a name? Well, stand-up comedian Tudur Owen believes Welsh place names and the stories behind them connect us to our nation's past. And many of them are at risk of being lost completely, replaced by English names that are easier for people who don't speak Welsh to remember and to pronounce. Well, we caught up with him on Anglesey at Porth Tricastell, or should that be Cable Bay?
As bidi fygydd,
Wabaidi Wasaidi.
I'm sorry, what?
Yisable me.
Nice boy.
Look, I get it. Some Welsh place names are really difficult to pronounce. I understand. I have difficulty with place names. Worcestershire and Slough. But have a go, make a mess of it, laugh about it. It really doesn't matter. In fact, ask people about these place names. Google them. There are normally some great stories behind them. You can tease us about Welsh not having any vowels or that we sound as though we're coughing when we speak it. We can take it up to a point. But, and this is a big but, replacing Welsh place names with English ones, just because some people can't pronounce them or they just don't like the sound of them, is not okay. It's deleting your cultural distinctiveness, your heritage, the uniqueness of these British islands. And it's getting rid of one of the oldest languages in Europe, one place name at a time. Here on Anglesey is a notable example. This is Cable Bay, so called because a few years ago somebody laid a cable here. That's interesting, isn't it? Except, of course, it's not. It never was Cable Bay. This is Porth Tricastell. Porth translates as access point or gateway for travel, trade and fishing. And Tricastell suggests an ancient fort or castle that would have defended this stretch of coastline. So it's not just a name, it's a story. And you don't have to be a Welsh speaker to realise that these place names are part of what makes Wales different. They connect us to our history and our shared identity. Wales has witnessed centuries of invasion and immigration, and each new wave of settlers have influenced and added to our rich history. The names Anglesey and Swansea are ancient Viking names, which are just as important to our story as Ynys Môn or Abertawe. But what we're seeing now, whether by accident or simply by being misinformed, is a disregard for that story. We have beautiful beaches and mountains and lakes, and of course they're wonderful, but if you choose to ignore their names and their story, then that's all you will ever see, just features in a landscape. Very pretty, but meaningless. Llyn Bochlwyd, that's a tricky one even for me. It's a lake in the mountains of Eryri. Llyn translates to lake and Bochlwyd means grey cheek. Some say the name tells the ancient tale of an old grey stag which was being hunted, and it makes a miraculous escape from the hounds and the arrows by plunging into this lake, holding its grey face above the water as it swims for safety. If you look at some guidebooks for the area, you will see that it now has a new name, Lake Australia, because the outline looks a bit like the shape of Australia. We have a choice. Do we keep these names and stories and tell them to the generations that will inhabit this land after we've gone? Or do we let them be deleted because they're difficult to pronounce and replace them with easy-to-remember English names? Foel Fawr is now known by some as Jam Pot Hill. Walker's Wood has replaced Coed Lligwy in some guidebooks. And if you look for Cwm Cneifion on some maps, you will find instead somewhere called the Nameless Cwm. And people say that Welsh is gobbledygook. I don't think we can force people to use Welsh names. It has to be a choice. But the least we can do is make that an informed choice. Tell people that every field, Every cave, every stream, every farmhouse has a name and has a story. If we choose not to use these names, then they will be lost. And once they're lost, they're gone for good. I don't often quote Winston Churchill if I can help it, but he was right when he said, "A nation which forgets its past has no future." Our past in Wales, our story is, I think, one of the greatest ever told. So, for the sake of our nation's future, let's use our Welsh place names and let's never forget that story.
Tudur Owen in Portrecastell on those fascinating Welsh names.